Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to the Amateur Otaku podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Isaac Wolf, and joining me for this spyful family fun is none other than the elegant Otaku, Novice Cenophle. How is it going, bud?
It is going great, my friend. These last episodes have been really fun, so can't wait to talk about Spy Family.
Yeah. And on the other end on the spectrum, we have the other Peanut, the Scarlet Fan. How's it going, buddy?
It is elegantly going furious, secretly, telepathically, and enjoyably, with very little blood unless it's on your clothes.
That was a lot of words.
That is certainly a lot of words. Say that
And it was still the wrong answer.
as per usual. And, as the title suggests, we are talking about episode 7 and episode 8 of Spy X Family, which the first of the list is called The Target Second Son, where it's focused on Anya trying to making amends with uh his target's son, and let's just say that it doesn't go well, and I just find
Understatement
this
of the year.
I just find it so funny how he Lloyd isn't even subtle about what he wants Anya to do, and she's the only one that noticed all, or should I say, understand what's going on. Just what's her friend's name again? Becky. Uh,
You would know better
yeah.
than I because I'm terrible
Uh,
with character names, and they're all still new to me.
yeah, but her friend, she doesn't even get a big of a reaction when she look at Anya's plate and said, "That's some weird. That's a weird dish," and it says "sorry" all over it, which
Yeah.
is kind of funny, honestly. And I don't know about you guys, but the last
It
frame
is,
of
I'm sorry, it is Becky Blackwell.
okay, then I remembered correctly.
Thank you, Peanut.
So the thing when he checks on her and he finds out that she tries to study on her own because she isn't she's just she just can't handle all the thoughts and all that. Yes, just when I think about why she must study like crazy and yada yada yada, and he finds her fall asleep on the desk. That scene is kind of adorable in my book. And also, I know that I'm jumping back on this sort of episode, but we have a Sundra on our hands, doesn't we? Well, Mike, what are your thoughts of the episode before we go to Brandon?
Yeah. So I thought this episode was just really fun. Spy Family is one of those shows where you can have a. I wouldn't say this episode is random because it's very much still focused on the main plot with Lloyd. But I just like seeing the comedic elements playing off each other, right? Like you said, Isaac, Lloyd is over here being a master of disguise, infiltrating the school, filling so many different jobs and positions. It's hilarious seeing he kind of force Anya's hand. But what I really like is just like you said before, he's not being subtle, and that's when the comedic moments start to happen because the pressure builds and builds and builds on Anya until she eventually just breaks down. It's the sweetest scene ever. I loved it. I thought this was a really great episode. it's just a lot of fun. Especially again, I like how we're kind of playing with the character dynamics, and so having it mainly be Lloyd in the background and Anya like carrying the episode on her own, I thought was really fun.
Hello, exciting my old friend.
I'm to talk with you again.
What about you, the Peanut?
This is all I got. That's pretty much it. Of course, from a completely different episode, but I love how this is the trend. And does it happen on this episode or the next one? But there's a scene where he's talking to where Lloyd is talking to his handler, and she says, "We expect Anya to have 8 stellar points or whatever, like 8 points for Gryffindor." Within 4 months, and you see his hand shaking towards getting the cup of coffee. Like little moments like that are just great. Episode 7 was awesome. I mean, every episode of this show is awesome. There are still moments when I burst out laughing. I like the fact that even though every character feels larger than life, there is still that grounded element where the kids are kids. So, like, for example, that whole thing where Anya's trying to say she's sorry, but not being able to handle the pressure of hearing what other people say and think about her, which is a very typical kid response. And then the whole thing with Desmond, where he's kind of falling for Anya, but he can't admit it because, he's the cool kid, which is a very kid thing. So I like the fact that we see these scenarios that are funny and very very anime, but they're also very cute and grounded for the type of characters that it happens to. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
Everything that happens to Lloyd is an adult situation, but it's outrageous. Everything that happens to Anya are kid situations, but they're outrageous. And of course, Lloyd being Lloyd, I kind of like the fact that we got an episode where we can see Lloyd do spy stuff, because we don't see him do spy stuff in every single episode.
Right.
So I like that when we do get to see him, it's pretty cool. But also I think, but going back to what Isaac was saying, I do love that we continually see, even though that this one feels like it has the airs of a filler, right? Which is kind of like what you were saying, Mike. Like it feels like a random episode, but it is within the story. It's not outside of the story rails, right? I like the fact that when you have genuine family bonding moments where these characters have, like Yor and Lloyd talking about Anya, it's like parents talk about their kids. You know what I mean? In an ideal scenario, those are the conversations that should be happening, right?
Right.
So you see those little moments where that family is growing closer and tighter and understanding, but like they're not thinking about that way, but that's what's happening. And I like how we can kind of see that happening in the background. So I don't know. I like the episode. It was awesome. I love because it has all the elements that keep making Spy Family such a unique and interesting blend of flavors. It was elegant.
Indeed, it kind of has that feel, like you were talking about seeing Twilight do his espionage for once, right?
Right.
And it's interesting how easy he can break into the school, and it's like, why the heck do we need Anya to infiltrate this school if Lloyd can just get in there any second he wants to? And it's just it raises those questions. I know that there's a bigger reason to that, but it's just it plays into the joke, right? He has to go through all of this work to make sure Anya does what she needs to do, and it's just hilarious.
No, and and also that moment where, like, the little moments where everything fails, and you can hear in the background Lloyd dropping a plate or dropping something because you know that he's entering in an existential crisis.
Yes.
Like the moments where you can just hear this happening in the background. And I find it funny that whenever he's in character, this kind of like blurts out randomly.
Yep.
And it plays for comedy in a great way. But I think the funniest moment, can we agree that the funniest moment of the entire episode was when Desmond, what's the word I'm looking for? Declines the apology, and you got the zoom into Lloyd's face. He declined the apology.
Everything with Desmond and Anya was legitimately great, and
Yeah.
that by itself is probably one of the highlights for this episode because
Yeah.
we're still in the very early stages of this show, and we are attached to Lloyd, to Yor, to Anya, but building up these other characters, right? Her classmates, her teachers.
Right.
That's where I get a little nervous because if that doesn't work, the show can fall apart. And I was really glad to see finally putting Anya in that school setting, seeing all of the other characters in her world kind of become a little more developed. I'm glad that it turned out well. because again, changing that family dynamic, having that shift, you're always kind of like on the fence, like, I like the first few episodes. It's going in a different direction. Will this work? And suffice it to say, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It is very awesome.
Isaac, you can talk now. I'm sorry.
Now, do you have anything else for this episode before we go to the next one?
I think I'm good on episode 7, personally.
Peanut?
I'm good. Let's do it.
Now, but talking about Tongue Twister, the counter-secret police cover operation. Say that 10 times fast. But
I'm not going to do it.
The counter secret police cover operation. Okay, I'm sorry. 2 times was enough. Let's keep going.
And now we sort of get introduced to Yor's brother that we got somewhat of a brief introduction to early in episode 2. And he certainly is something. That's for certain.
He's great. He's great, honestly.
And he is an interesting fold to the entire cast, if that makes any sense.
Oh, he brings I love what he brings to the cast, though. Like I like that. Here's what surprises me about this character. What was his name again?
Yuri.
Oh, oh my God, that's very not creative. I kind of just noticed it. But then again, it works. What I hate about the character, but at the same time love about the character, is the fact that it is technically just a male version of Yor.
Oh, 100%, and it's creepy.
but at the same time, it works so well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes when you see duplicate characters to a degree, they tend to be drastically different enough that you can kind of take them apart. Like, it's very hard for you to not sense that, yes, this is meant to be a carbon copy of Yor to a degree, almost to a T. But because of how they present him and how, in the key factor that they're different is how they express their care for each other. That's like the big difference. I don't know. It works so well. It's not something that harms the series. I loved him in this episode. It was just great. It was great.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's interesting that you mentioned that he's a copy of Yor, right? Because that's what makes him the perfect foil for Twilight when you really think about it. It's because he and Yor are so compatible, this facade, this fake family all pulls together. But I like how you invert that and you see why they're great rivals with Yuri. And so it's going to be really interesting to see the cat and mouse game that they're playing, especially since I'm glad in this episode they established that Twilight is a fantastic spy, and he caught on to this right away. I'm glad somebody besides Anya knows the other person is lying for the first time ever in this series. So it'll be interesting to see how that relationship kind of has the back and forth, the ebb and flow going forward. In this episode, though, specifically, it's hilarious. It's great. I love every second.
I actually like the way. I actually like the way how you see the different. You can see how you're able to gauge how much experience Twilight has, because I don't think up till this particular encounter with Yori, you haven't really, like, you've mostly heard that Twilight is the best spy. Like after the first episode, you really don't see that unless it's used for like random comedy. Does that make sense? Like, you don't see like serious spy work. Like in this particular episode, you kind of see like Twilight flex like James Bond level muscles. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like the only time we can really tell how good of a spy he is was in like that party he threw for Anya, where all those other spies showed how much they respected him. We haven't actually seen it in action.
Well, exactly. Like apart from episode 1, where he does like take care of all the people that kidnap Anya.
Yeah,
we haven't seen that. But the fact that we can see it here, but in this subtle way, and I actually found it brilliant that Anya wasn't part of this conversation, because you can easily kind of feel that they could be using Anya as a clutch to deal with the whole read minds, so that's how we get into everybody's head. But I like that she wasn't here in this equation, because you can kind of see Twilight being Twilight, and then you of course have Yori being Yori with whatever experience he has. So I really like that back and forth without Anya being present. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm glad you mentioned that, though, because think about it. The dynamics of that conversation were pretty much the same as they've always been. But Anya wasn't reading minds. It was Lloyd deducing the situation.
Correct.
Which is what made it so great. It's a conversation or a dynamic we're used to, but pulling her out and having him figure out what's going on is what made it way more satisfying than it had any reason of being.
And also the levels of knowledge and experience, because you can tell that Yuri, of course, is up and coming in this world, but Twilight is the master. So like those little details of that comes straight from XYZ handbook, that is the basis of a made up story, and this story doesn't work because I know the owner now has the son run the restaurant. I know the prices went up because the fields, like all those stupid little details. I was like, oh shit, somebody actually thought this carefully. This is awesome.
Yep. So great. So great.
Now, that wasn't my favorite line though. But
Okay.
I want to hear, Isaac, we've been gushing over this episode and you have said nothing.
Not very elegant of you, my friend.
Honestly, I will admit, and how should I put it? Have you guys ever heard of the term sitcom?
Yeah, sitcom. SITCOM?
Siscon. SISC.
I have no idea what you're talking about, and it sounds very dirty.
Yeah, it's. Have you heard, Mike?
It's a family show. I have not. Maybe we should take this to another episode.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, I'm going to read the definition.
Sister complex is a state of strong attachment and obsession to a sister. It's commonly abbreviated as siscon, and in case it's also used for brothers and sisters who have a strong attachment obsession to their sisters, which I argue that Yuri has. And well, while it's understandable why he has it, it's sort of, I know it's because of the comedy aspect, but honestly, I think it's kind of creepy.
Well, here's the thing. Luckily, in the States, we've seen Friends. And trust me, it can be a lot creepier. This is not creepy. This is okay. Like, I've seen creepy. Like, because I like the fact, and I get what you're saying. It can feel kind of creepy, but they don't make it where I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. We're all adults here except Anya, but she can read but she can read minds anyway. There's no sexual connotation, which I think is like big distinction, because a lot of things, even if they don't explicitly say it, that's kind of the angle that they use, especially with a lot of animes and other things that are not animes that use it between like stepbrothers and stepsisters and stuff like that.
God dang it.
I have to say it. It's the world we live in. They make it worse. Here, there's none of that, which is why I think it works. Because you got to think about it. The reasons that he uses to explain his attachment are 100% valid, even in real situations, which to me kind of grounds everything. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like outlandish. You know, it's not like
it's cartoony.
Exactly.
It's not, you know.
It's not beyond
went to where Isaac's went, apparently.
Exactly. It's not something that I wouldn't show my kids if I ever had any.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because trust me, I've seen creepier.
I mean, it reminds me of, like, think of other relationships. Like, think of Rock Lee and Guy Sensei, right?
Right.
That is way over the top, and I feel like this is just a similar vein of it's over the top and ridiculous at some points, but it's not intended to be anything more than what you're actually saying. Right. There's no undertones to it that are dirtier than what they probably should be for a children's
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's why it works. And that's why we can still laugh at it. Because I think that it would lose the charm that it has if it didn't go that way. Now, Isaac, I'll shut up and I'll let you talk before I talk about my favorite scene.
You talk a lot. That I didn't know. You know that I like to mess with you, right, buddy?
No, I know. But I was giving you the chance to talk because I do have more to say.
I do wonder what you guys think about them ending on what you can call a major cliffhanger.
It was perfect.
If that makes any sense. And also, can we agree that, well, both Yuri and Jor clearly has a problem with alcohol.
Yo.
Clearly.
Yo. That was the greatest thing ever. Whenever he starts the conversation and Lloyd serves, and he goes, "There's none for you tonight." Yo. That was amazing. Yes. Now, before we go into that, which I think it was a good cliffhanger, just because they've been teasing the whole thing, that they kind of, if it weren't because of the deal, right? You can tell that these characters would definitely be interested in each other, right? Like they've been planting those seeds from the very beginning. And I love the fact how it's kind of followed through, like when Anya goes, "Mom and Daddy are flirting."
She's done that multiple times.
Yes. And it's always so good, and they're always blushing, and it's awesome. Because you got to think about it, neither of these two characters have ever had a real relationship. I like how whenever the kiss thing starts, Lloyd goes like, "I've done this a million times with women as part of a mission." But then, of course, he never did it before with Yor, because there is something there, right? That we've seen it. But I like the fact that they ended on a cliffhanger, because they're trying to give more weight to that theme and not just like brush it off. That's how I see it. Does that make sense?
100%. It's interesting to see how this plays out, because I never thought I would be this invested in the will they won't they of a married couple, but here we are.
Well, wow, I never thought about it that way. But hey, you're right. Come and knock on my door.
Come on, knock on my door.
This live stream is getting weird, but then again, it's us three.
Now, I do want to talk about my favorite scene.
Yes, you've been teasing that for like 10 minutes now.
Go on.
So Lloyd goes, "Okay, we prepared for this moment." And then Yor says, what if we tell him the truth? And he was like, "No." And then Yor goes, "No, I have the perfect thing to let him know." And then you flash back and you got Lloyd going like, "I trust you, Yor. You can do this." And then she goes, "I completely and utterly forgot." And then you can hear the plate fall to the ground. I love how they keep playing with that.
Hello, anxiety, my old friend.
No, and then suddenly, Yori goes, "You know what? Since you've said it like that, it perfectly makes sense." And he goes, "He bought that?"
Scatterbrain.
Yo, when Lloyd said that, and out of nowhere, the narrator goes, "When it comes to his sister, all sense of logic goes out the window." Yo, I was dying. Oh my god.
It is
So well directed. So well
such a
directed.
good it was such a good gag, man. It was so
Yeah, it
That's
was so
what I
good.
love about Spy Family is that these jokes, the situational humor is great, but they just nail it. Like you said, it's perfectly directed, perfectly executed.
Yeah.
There's a version of that scene that just kind of falls flat, but
Yes.
the comedic timing that they had in
Yep.
this episode was just so on point.
The sound design,
Yes.
like the acknowledgement. There's a situational awareness in the situational humor that it's like sometimes it feels like a sitcom, like you're a part of the audience. Because when you think about it, when you're watching a sitcom in a live studio audience setting where there's a set there, right? You're not seeing what the camera is capturing. You're always seeing the entire set. You're seeing all the characters all at once. What happens when you watch TV is that they're focusing on a scene between two characters, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that they're able to capture that's how you know that it's well shot and edited, right? The fact that you're able to capture that sitcom setting, I think it's fucking brilliant. It's elegant.
Elegant.
And like I said, I know this not like unrelated to the episodes, but since you said elegance, you will understand soon why I love Henrik Henderson.
What was that?
You will understand why I love Henrik Henderson more
Oh.
than just getting a laugh of
Yeah.
elegance all the time.
As I
Yeah.
say in every episode, Isaac, we get it. You read the manga.
Now I have a question. I mean, we all know that this show is well within its budget, but I did want to ask Isaac, since you have read the book, how faithful has it been up to this point, in terms,
Extremely.
like even in the narration and stuff like that?
Yes, there are some additional stuff like you don't see. You don't see Anya in her room, sort of like trying to collect her thoughts after she just rush into her room. I can't handle this. That scene, for example, isn't that it's just an add-on, but it's an add-on that works for the anime, so to speak.
Good.
But
I like that. I
it's
like
pretty
that.
much picture to picture otherwise.
I think that's one of those things that I like about this medium, right? When you transfer from, I don't know why it's so hard for DC Comics, but that's a different story. But there's something that I like. He knows where I'm going with this, right, Mike?
Unfortunately.
There's something that I love about manga as a medium and anime as a medium, because they always find ways to literally translate the book to the screen, and a lot of times it's just faithful, and we see it consistently. You know what I mean? It's not like something that we only see in one show. It's something that we see consistently in a lot of them, and for some reason in the States, it's easier to just, oh, let's just grab this one thing. No, just grab the whole thing. It's good for a reason.
How hard is it to make Infinity Gauntlet an actual animated movie, and we see Thanos try and win the heart of Lady Death? That's all I want to see, y'all. Marvel, hear me out.
Well, here's the thing, though. In the what if universe, you never know.
Yeah.
See,
Visions is better.
eh, eh, eh. Awesome episodes. Spy Family's awesome.
Indeed.
And
Isaac, I want to hear your actual like thoughts on Yuri though, because we kind of derailed a little bit with his relationship with Yor. What did you think of like his character introduction and all that stuff?
It's a good character introduction, considering. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's understandable why he is the way he is towards his sister, considering their living situation. But and I also agree with you guys on why it's a perfect foil, sort of like speak. Because it's sort of like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but in terms of, in a brother-in-law's situations, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I honestly I don't, because of your. This is no spoiler, so to speak, but because they are in the middle, it's. I can say that because there is no way, not even close to the finish line, or so to speak. But I believe myself that and this is something when I read the manga also for the or should I say this chapter that I think they are building up to a fight between him and. Twilight, Lloyd and Yuri instead of Twilight and Yor, and having her being sort of like, who should I help, being torn between her quote unquote husband and brother, because she, just because of how she connects, going to connect with Lloyd moving forward.
So your concern is that that's what happens?
No, it's not a concern. I think it would be a smart way. I honestly think it's a. I think it's
Not to be that guy, but can we kind of dance around this idea since you're ahead of us?
I didn't spoil anything specific. That's,
I know, but yeah, I'm just trying to be real careful with that stuff. That's all.
Yes, I know, Anya. I know.
Hit.
So, but the reason, so let me ask you this, because I want to share my thoughts on this too, because I think it's a good point. So, in an ideal situation, is that where you want the story to go, where Yor is torn between these two men in her life?
I'm open for the idea because I can easily see that happen because we have talked about it earlier. Just in this episode, they are connecting with each other more than they want to admit. I mean, if Twilight weren't sorry, if Lloyd weren't a spy and he truly was a biological father of Anya and all that kind of yes, I could see them, him, well, sort of like quote unquote falling for not suppress any potential falling for her, if that makes any sense.
But you still haven't answered the question. Do you want that to be the direction they go?
I don't know, but I'm open for it.
Okay, fair enough. Because I kind of like because I like that idea. I want them to surprise me, but I kind of like the idea, and I like how introducing Yori kind of sets up, because I can see it be because right now we've seen, more than anything, it's been very lighthearted right? Nothing has been overtly serious or anything like that. But I can see how that can be some serious good drama, because not just a triangle between Yori and also and Twilight, but also how, well, that's happening, you can have Twilight's agency and yours agency also inside of this, and kind of
You
being,
mean yours agency?
no, your, as in she has a handler that tells her who to kill.
Oh, what do you mean? I just felt you were talking
Yeah,
about
like,
that.
but like not just, and then the idea that because exterior components are driving them to kill each other, right, in one way, shape, or form, that's kind of the reason why they come together as a family. Because personally, what I enjoyed most about Yori's introduction is that there is no way that he's not part of that family. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? Like,
He's definitely got the fun uncle vibes.
exactly. Like there's a, I can clearly see, and I think that's what I love about it. Like, I can clearly see how Yori could be another forger, and there's no reason why I couldn't see that. Like, it's there. It's. I can see it. I can see all the elements. Whether they go there or not, as long as it's a satisfying story, I don't care. But the fact that I'm able to see that, like, he doesn't feel like someone that doesn't belong within that house or in that dynamic, because that would have made it very weird. I like the fact that he's just as nuts as all they are, as all of them are.
The intro of this show is called Mixed Nuts, right? So
Yes.
it's all coming together. It's real.
Yes.
I love the introduction of his character, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
the setup, or him even saying, "Do you know Twilight?" And that, I love
Yep.
the instant conflict you get from that.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm with both of you guys. Where it's gonna be cool to see where they go with it. I do have a question though. This is probably more for Brandon to speculate than Isaac answer, just in case he already knows. Does Yuri know that Yor is an assassin? And if so, do they work for the same agency?
I don't think they work for the same agency, but I think that Yori knows. But just like the humble narrator told us, when it comes to his sister, logic goes out the window, which is why he was able to talk about beautiful memories while Anya's, while yours clothes are bathed in blood.
Yeah, but like, that's the thing. Like, did he think she was like a nurse or something? Was there a cover up, or does he just like, yeah, she kills people? I get it.
or it could be, but at the same time, it's like it didn't matter because she came home. Because this show kind of like, you can see these characters having suspension of disbelief for no reason, because for the sake of the story, which is kind of like the comical out of craziness that we talked in the beginning, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's not meant to work, but it works because they play it for outlandish. So I can see it going both ways.
Yeah.
Because you got to think about it. If they're working for the same agency, wouldn't Yor know where he works?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, they did make a point that he's the new guy. So
Right.
maybe he got,
And
like,
they made a
promotion or
point that
something.
she doesn't know. That's the other thing. They made it a point to let them know that she doesn't know that he works there. So,
Good
like,
stuff.
yeah. But I think, can we talk about the whole Black Widow vibes that we're getting from Yor? Like, she's been doing this. She's been killing people from like very young.
She was in the red room.
Yeah, and I keep having laugh every time she freaks out. It's like, oh no, he can't find out that I'm with Lloyd, so I can keep killing. like,
Yeah, there's like,
yeah,
we know his mission, we don't know hers, so that is just always a scary and hilarious kind of
Yeah.
soundbite.
It's like Dexter.
Yeah. I love how she walks in as a child, though, and it's just like, oh, don't worry, none of this blood is mine.
It's like,
That
hey,
raises more questions, sister.
exactly, and it's like, hey, don't worry, I got paid a lot, so I just bought you this book.
So great, so great.
Yeah. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear your guys' thought about the whole thing. That's the only thing I'm gonna say.
Uh-oh, he's laughing at us in manga again.
Yeah,
Bastard.
of course I am.
I kid. But yeah, that's all I've got on this batch of episodes. It's fun, as always.
awesome.
I love this show.
Yeah, it's awesome. We got another
It's,
4 for the first core, right?
I think so.
I believe so. And also, we are talking about making this weekly show also, just so you guys know. So we are going to return for this next week. And, well, with that said, like we started... well, you can find my work at Wobem Entertainment, and you can find me over at Maniac on Twitter. Do you guys have anything else to say before you plug yourself?
I will plug my no. I don't know. I'm excited to to talk about the show and all the awesome anime that we cover every single week at the Amateur Otaku podcast. Stay tuned. We got awesome stuff coming.
Indeed.
Do you have anything to say about the episodes, Mike, or should we, or do you want just to plug yourself?
I will plug my work. Yes, sir. There's nothing else I have to say about this batch. Fun times. Can't wait to discuss and watch the rest of the season. But you can find me at Novice Cinephile everywhere: Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. On the YouTube channel, a lot of cool stuff is going to be up there, including, I'm glad Brandon mentioned this, but there's a video about manga versus comic books that's going to be on the channel in like a month's time. So
looking forward to it.
Stay tuned for that. And yeah, you can find me here talking My Hero Academia, Spy Family, Attack on Titan.
We all
the
know
good
that
stuff.
manga is 1,000 times better.
For the sake of this channel's demographic, yes. Watch the video to find out.
Dun 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 dun. Dun. Wink, wink.
Yes. But, well, that's for today. Have it awesome, everyone. Peace.
Peace.